Imagine waking up tomorrow and New York, London, and entire countries are underwater. It sounds like a scene from a Hollywood blockbuster, but the science behind it is terrifyingly grounded in reality. If all of the ice on Earth melted, every glacier, every ice sheet, and the massive frozen expanses of the poles, the global sea level rise would be about 65 to 70 meters, or over 210 feet. Entire coastlines would be erased, billions of people would be displaced, and we would see new continents literally formed by the shifting tides. But here's the real question: where would humans actually survive? To understand this catastrophe, we first need to look at the sheer scale of Earth's ice. It is difficult for the human mind to grasp just how much water is currently locked away in a frozen state. Roughly 90% of Earth's ice is located in Antarctica. This is a continent covered in a layer of ice that is, in some places, over 2 miles thick. If that alone were to melt, the world as we know it would end immediately. The remaining 10% is mostly found in the Greenland ice sheet and various mountain glaciers around the globe, from the Alps to the Himalayas. When we talk about the climate change impact, we are talking about a volume of ice equal to enough water to reshape the physical profile of the planet. This wouldn't happen overnight. It would likely take thousands of years of extreme warming. But if it did happen eventually, the Earth would look completely different. Let's see what disappears first. The first places to go are the ones we call home today. Major global hubs would be the first victims of this rising tide. Think about New York City. The Statue of Liberty would be standing waist-deep in the Atlantic. Wall Street, the subways, and the iconic skyscrapers of Manhattan would become an underwater reef. In Florida, the entire state would effectively vanish. Miami wouldn't just be flooded, it would be part of the ocean floor. Over in Europe, London would be swallowed by a bloated River Thames, leaving only the very tops of its tallest buildings visible. Shanghai, Tokyo, and Amsterdam would all follow suit. These aren't just cities, they are the world's most vital ports, airports, and economic engines. When they go, the global supply chain goes with them. You have to ask yourself, if you live near a coast right now, would your city even exist on a map with 70 meters of extra water? The stakes become even higher when we look at entire nations that would almost vanish. Some countries are so low-lying that they don't even need all the ice to melt to face extinction. Bangladesh, for instance, would see the majority of its landmass swallowed, displacing over 160 million people. The Netherlands, famous for its incredible engineering and dikes, would finally lose its long-standing war against the North Sea. The Maldives, a beautiful island nation, would be completely erased from existence, becoming nothing more than an underwater mountain range. Large portions of Vietnam's coastal rice baskets would be lost, creating a massive food crisis for Southeast Asia. This isn't just about losing land. It is about the humanitarian crisis of hundreds of millions of people becoming refugees with nowhere to go. But losing land is only part of the story. The very shape of our continents would transform, creating new coastlines that look nothing like our current maps. In North America, the Atlantic seaboard would move hundreds of miles inland. The Mississippi River would expand so much that it would effectively turn the middle of the United States into a massive inland sea, cutting the country in half. California's Central Valley would become a giant bay, and the hills of San Francisco would become a cluster of small islands. Over in Europe, Denmark would be gone. Germany would be partially flooded, and a new sea would likely form in the heart of the continent. Asia would see its most populated coastal regions in China and India lost to the waves, forcing billions of people to move toward the center of the continent. The before and after maps of Earth would be unrecognizable. But while the coasts are lost, some places would actually become safer. So, where would we actually live? To find the safest places on an ice-free Earth, you have to look up. High-elevation regions would become the new premium real estate. The Rocky Mountains in North America, the Andes in South America, and the Himalayas in Asia would provide the necessary altitude to stay dry. These areas wouldn't just offer safety from the water, they would also offer cooler temperatures as the rest of the planet heats up. Inland regions that are currently considered remote or harsh would become the new centers of civilization. Think about the vast plains of Mongolia, the high plateaus of Africa, or the massive interior of Siberia. These regions are far from the reaching arms of the oceans, and possess stable terrain that could support large populations. However, surviving in these new hubs isn't just about staying above the waterline. The real survival challenges go far beyond just finding a dry spot to build a house. The global food supply would be in total chaos. Most of our most productive farmland is located in low-lying river deltas and coastal plains. Once those are flooded with saltwater, they are dead for centuries. Climate disruption would mean that traditional growing seasons disappear. We would also face a desperate struggle for fresh water. As sea levels rise, saltwater intrusion would ruin underground aquifers, making the remaining fresh water more valuable than gold. Then there is the weather. A warmer ocean means more energy for the atmosphere, leading to more frequent and much more powerful storms. We are talking about hypercanvases and permanent monsoon conditions in regions that aren't prepared for them. Even the safest places on high ground might struggle to produce enough food and water for the billions of people migrating there. This massive shift would lead to a completely new world economy. The coastal economies we rely on today would collapse, but in their place, new megacities would rise inland. Landlocked countries that are currently struggling might find themselves at the center of the new world. Shipping routes would have to be entirely reinvented. With the Arctic and Antarctic ice gone, new northern and southern sea routes would open up, potentially making trade faster between certain regions, even as the old ports sit under 200 feet of water. Some regions might become incredibly wealthy due to their newly temperate climates and stable land, while others would simply cease to function. It would be the greatest redistribution of wealth and power in human history. And interestingly, one continent would completely change the future of humanity. Antarctica, currently a frozen desert, would become the most sought-after piece of land on the planet. If all the ice melted, the land beneath would be revealed for the first time in millions of years, while much of it would be an archipelago of islands due to the weight of the ice having pushed the land down. A significant amount of habitable land and natural resources would be exposed. It could become a green continent, capable of supporting forests and even agriculture as the global temperature rises. Nations would likely fight over who has the right to settle there and who owns the minerals and oil buried under the former ice sheets. It would be a new scramble for Antarctica, a final frontier for a displaced human race. This section of the world keeps curiosity high because it represents a total reset for our species. Could this really happen? Realistic context is crucial. All Earth's ice melting in one lifetime is unlikely, but global sea level increase is. It would take thousands of years of intense warming to melt all Antarctic and Greenland ice, according to scientists. We don't need all the ice to melt to confront a problem. Even a few meters of increase would displace millions and cost trillions. Some of these changes have begun as the melting continues. Already, coastal floods and alpine glacier loss are affecting millions of people. This stunning scenario shows that Earth would not end. Many times in geological history, Earth was ice-free. The new oceans and green poles will support life while the globe spins. Human civilization assumes stability, that coasts stay the same and rains fall as expected. The real issue of an ice-free Earth is adaptation. Move our cities, rethink our food, and redefine our borders. The dilemma is not Earth's survival, but where mankind will live in the future. Our resilience would be tested like never before in a world without ice. Our activities now are shaping tomorrow's maps, and as the flood rises, we can prepare. Where would you go if the map changed forever? The answer may be humanity's most crucial choice.